I want to discuss in this podcast the pole shift that came out in the news very quietly. NASA stated that there's going to be a pole shift on August the 5th. Again, August the 5th date is coming up again. As in my last podcast, I explained that dates are very important to the power control force. So repeated patterns, repetition of patterns, just a different script coming out on specific dates to solidify the concept or the understanding of the power control force, that they are about power control and they are about truly being able to control. Their goal is to be able to control your essence as awareness, unique awareness. I want to talk to you about how the pole shift that is imminent is kind of stirring up a frenzy, and really it's really important for us not to get caught up in that frenzy, because we have to understand that the media is used to control the masses. If they can control the stories, they don't have to use soldiers on the streets. If they can control people in their heads through their imagination, they can pretty much control your perceptions. And so public perception is really a battlefield, or the mind is a battlefield, and allows the power control force through their propaganda and stories to control your mind and how you think and how you perceive the world, and how they're able to use propaganda to literally change culture. So what is very clear is that some of the main storylines that are coming out are resurfacing again. They're not changing that much. That is, the ones that have not come to fruition, but just keep resurfacing again and again through the media. It's called subliminal suggestion, just on steroids at this point. There's an intensification, more specifically, pertaining to the last days, the rapture, the sudden destruction, chaos, the Antichrist, war, disease, death, return of Christ, etc., etc. Perhaps all these events are already written in the stars through such clues to be found in the solar lunar eclipses, comets, and the Star of David planetary alignments are still unfolding before us, and that's what I'm bringing to your attention, just so that you can understand how your reality is well scripted, well choreographed, and designed by those in power that wish to control this illusory existence that we are experiencing here. But really, when we talk about the pole shift, it's really, from the esoteric standpoint of what I'm experiencing, it's really a shift in consciousness. And I will show you how this pole shift is really, from the power control force standpoint, it's a shift in from a physical world standpoint. It's the pole shift translates to the Pope shift. Now, the Vatican, as some of you may know and you may not know, really controls, or the Roman cult, really controls everything that happens on this physical world stage at this point. It's not the Illuminati. The Illuminati are just a front. They are involved, but the power control force don't want you to know everything. They want you to believe certain things. And so the Illuminati is a front, but it's a much bigger organization. That's why I don't use specific organizations, and I just call them the power control force, those that presume to run this world, because there's so many people involved in this grand scheme to deceive and manipulate and destroy the essence that you are as unique awareness. They don't know, even at the highest level, of what's really going on here. Some of the things that I'm speaking about in terms of the universal lie, that there are universal architects that have designed both spectrums of the duality concept of creation itself. They are the ones that created both aspects, the positive and the negative aspect. And the Illuminati, the Roman cult, the Vatican, are just simply, or the Luciferian, light bringer entities, they're called by many names, are just facilitating a plan. It's no different than any other kind of religion, that they believe that they are doing the right thing. Another thing so with regards to this Pope shift, the Pope shift really set the stage for this next phase of the rollout plan, leading us into, it's one storyline that's leading to another Third World War. And that's really what they want to have happen here, because, and I'll show you that more specifically. But the Pope shift happened on 2/11 when Pope Benedict resigned. That's February 11th, 2013. And then the new Pope was brought in, Pope Francis. Now the Pope shift simply is that they now have their first Jesuit Pope, and he's from South America. Never happened before. South, so it's a pole shift. That's the shift. That's a shift from the south, from the north to the south. So just a play on words. Another thing that I brought that I found quite interesting, what you can do is look in the description, and there's a link that speaks to the Pope shift and the date of 2/11, and how Alex Rodriguex, he's from South America, was just suspended for taking enhancing drugs while he was playing sports, and it's interesting that he's been suspended for 211 days, again associating back to this 2/11 when the Pope Benedict resigned. Alex Rodriguex is from where? South America. Another thing I want to point out is that Rubio, he's a Republican senator. He will be the next president in 2016, and I'll post some information on him. So you want to watch out for this guy. He's going to be the first South American Pope, or first Pope from the South America, or for a Spanish Pope. Spanish president. Sorry. A lot of things to remember here. So he will be the next president, this Rubio guy. And so we'll watch for him, because that's what's playing out. Again, everything is well scripted. How do I know this? Well, because I've done an extensive amount of research, and I'm able to connect the dots at a very high level. So we'll just watch and wait and see how this transpires. But again, the Pope shift, or the pole shift, really equals the Pope shift, and a shift to the South America. Also in 2016, remember that we have the Brazil Olympics. Again, all by design. These are not random events. It's all by design. So with that in mind, I want to just direct you again to a article that I posted. A storm is coming. Again, the pole shift imminent. More like a major false flag event to come, masquerading as Doomsday. We are in the midst of August now, and August, I noticed for the past couple of years, since I started connecting the dots at a very high level, is a month where we get a lot of earth changes or earthquake type of activity, and severe weather starts happening this month. Again, it'll probably start happening this month, but let's pay attention to what's really going on in Egypt. I think that we're in the next few days, what we're going to be seeing is a lot of major destruction and death in Egypt, and because of the protesting of the ousted president there. And then so it's just a serious escalation to a new level with regards to things that are happening in Syria and Egypt. So you have to remember that everything that we're experiencing here is by design. And so when I talk about the Pope shift, or the pole shift really equaling the Pope shift on an exoteric level, it's really a shift in consciousness. The power control force, those that presume to run this world, they only want you to know certain information. They want to have control of your mind. And so the shift really is a shift in consciousness, that the opportunity is for you to break free of the confines of this system. Come to know the truth of who you are as unique awareness. Be able to become detached from all that is ensuing on this planet, because if you buy into a lot of these false flag stories that are coming out from whistleblowers and information, I mean, then you're going to get caught in the deception. Now, I'll just give you an example. Edward Snowden, who's now in Russia, just came out with an article on July 27th that stated that there was going to be some solar flares in September. You have to remember, though, Edward Snowden is a character that's being developed by the Power Control Force. He is in alliance with them. Now, that is not the perception. He's part of what is called the controlled opposition. But my concern is that people are listening to these audios and really not able to understand how far the rabbit hole goes. That everything, you have to look at everything with discernment, and that a lot of what you're being told are lies, and that a lot of what is transpiring through the media is all staged. These are all characters that are implants, characters on the physical world stage playing out their particular dramas. But they're playing out their particular dramas by design. So this article came out with Edward Snowden saying, he said that there was going to be some solar flares in September. Solar flares are happening all the time, and that it was going to cause some major devastation. Let me tell you something. I used to watch solar flares. I've been watching them since 2007 because they've been affecting me and been an integral part in my evolutionary process. And I've talked about this. I've had articles. I've written stuff, and I've been interviewed as well on this subject. But I don't tend to share much in terms of solar flares, because now I know that information is all being manipulated as well, and that we're not being told the truth. So I don't really share in that level, but there is some truth to the activity. We don't really know what's going on because that information is being withheld from us. So you can only know when you have your experiences, when there's certain solar activity. But what I do want to let you know is that, and what I do let people know is that I do watch planetary alignments, celestial occultations, and the next planetary alignment that's coming up is August the 24th to 26th. And that's, again, falls in and coincides with what's going on with this march that they're having on Washington. So as above, so below. So they use these celestial occultations or planetary alignments to facilitate a lot of their dark, sinister programs, the Power Control Force. This is the kind of stuff that I'm exposing to you. So hopefully, as time goes on, you'll get a better understanding of what's transpiring here. And it's not to scare you. It's just to hopefully bring things to your attention. And more importantly, so you can see from a really clear perspective, more and more you'll be able to see how our reality is totally scripted, well choreographed. It's very much like a movie script. There's movie scripts all over the place, and we're just living through all these scripts. And I'm really at the point where I'm believing that, these scripts are written they have script writers, people who write these scripts and these different scenarios that play out. And I'll give you an example. And I'll post a link as well with regards to this. But I've been talking about the Black Panther and the NCAA, how they are going to have a march on Washington celebrating the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's birthday, but also to make a stand regarding the Trayvon Martin case. Trayvon Martin case was, I believe, a false flag as well, all by design. But apparently Oprah Winfrey just caused a lot of buzz because she was in Switzerland in a store, and she was just wearing her Donna Karan dress and no makeup, and she just went in there with her purse, which was a very expensive purse, and she wanted to look at another purse that was quite similar to hers, and the clerk said that, oh, this is too expensive for you. You can't, and so she was denied. I guess the clerk didn't know who she was. And as Oprah says in her statement, that she was, the clerk didn't know that she had a black card. This is a card that is very given out to certain select people that are elite. This is elite group, right? So I thought that was interesting, but the real key thing was she was giving this statement outside of a billboard of this movie poster for the movie called Butler, which is coming out on August the 16th. And I thought that was kind of strange. So she's talking about racism, and then there's this movie called Butler, which she's starring in. She produced, her production company, OWN, she's starring in. Apparently she may get an Oscar for this. That movie's coming out. But the movie is about a butler who gives a biography of his work at the White House. And it's about civil rights during the civil rights movement. Well, I just put all this together and connected it, and I thought, wow. I mean, people like Oprah, who is in with the power control force. I mean, I've talked about this before as well. If we just take OWN, which is her network, turn the words around, we got New World, or turn the words around, or the symbols around, you got New World Order right in there. So I thought that was kind of interesting how actors are using publicity stunts, or how Oprah uses publicity stunt in order to attract people to her movie, because I wouldn't even ever known that her movie was coming out right now until I realized that she was screaming racism in Switzerland. So that's another example of how media is being used. That was a PR campaign that Oprah did. She went to Switzerland, experienced racism, but it was all by design. Right at the time when she has this new movie coming out, which is definitely going to get people to go and see it, but is also tying in with the march on the 24th in Washington with Trayvon Martin, with the NAACP and the Black Panther movement on, again, this planetary alignment that is occurring on the 24th to the 26th of August. Very intense time that we live in. So that's just an example of how you're being manipulated over and over and over again. These stories are all over. These scripts are being played all over the place. So this is how our reality is being scripted. So again, it's all by design. Remember, we're living through a script, or rather a series of scripts, to create massive confusion in the minds of humanity. Because with confusion comes a complete disconnection or a lack of focus upon what truly constitutes reality. The only way to communicate what reality is to identify what disconnects us from reality. And this is what disconnects us from reality. When we can look at these scripts and see how we're being manipulated. And what then becomes the veil that keeps us disconnected? When we can see through the scripts, we can pierce the veil and understand what keeps us disconnected. It's if I had it my way, all I would be doing is talking to you about going into the heart and experiencing these wonderful energies that I'm experiencing and the reality that I'm creating, which is far different, or experiencing, which is far different than 3D normal experience that most people are experiencing that are in major crisis, anxiety, and fear. I don't have that experience. I don't live with fear. I don't live with anxiety. I don't, I'm living a different existence now that I know who I am. And if I had it my way, that's all I would be talking about, and that's all I would be doing, is assisting people to move into the heart. But it's not only when people are desperate, when their survival is at stake, will they make the transition to come to know the truth of who they are. And even then, most people will probably end up vacating. This path of knowing self as unique awareness and experiencing the totality of who you are in physical form. The opportunity is now, but very few are taking that road. It's the road less traveled. And all by design. This physical world is not designed for you to wake up to the knowing of the truth of who you are. They talk about all these depopulation programs around the world, and or the one depopulation program. Yes, there's going to be mass die-offs on this physical world, but that again is more propaganda. They need humanity in order to keep this existence of this reality intact. You are used as fuel. And so what? The power control force, those persons that run this world, are going to leave in a community like I explained in my last video, Elysium, the movie that just came out on August the 8th, while there are no people on this earth and they'll be living in some spaceship above us. It's another storyline. No, it's not the case. That cannot happen because they need humanity as the fuel. And that's why they've co-opted so many of the bright thinkers in this world, and got them under their wing, made lots of promises to them that they would be in their community if they did the bidding for the power control force. And that could be further from the truth than what I've explained before. But yes, there will be a die-off of people on this earth plane, and during this intensification, this of time, intense period that we're living in. But you have to understand it's not going to be massive all at once, because they need humanity in order to keep their existence. They need capitalism. Capitalism is a machine that runs this world. And the internet is the medium in which they use to try to control what information is being disseminated. So you have to be really careful about what you read off the internet, because that's an artificial brain. The internet is an artificial brain, an artificial womb designed to manage your perception in reality. And they don't want you to think beyond what you were spoon-fed through the media. Because the media means mind control. They're controlling your mind. So if you can stay away from the media and really learn to use your discernment, that'll be really, really important for you. Okay. So on August the 5th, NASA said that there is going to be, in the next 3 months, there's going to be a flip of a reversal of the poles. And the sun's magnetic field will likely reverse sometime in the next 3 to 4 months. Now, this is not the next doomsday prediction scenario. It really will happen. But there is nothing to fear, because in reality, the sun's magnetic field changes regularly almost every 11 years. So what they're basically saying is the sun's poles, the poles shift every 11 years. So why is there such a big thing? They're using this as a fear-mongering scare tactic. So this is just more propaganda that's proliferated the alternative media scene. And how all of a sudden it's all quiet when they've talked about pole shifts in the news before, and it's just distraction, more ways to distract you. So the flip of the sun's magnetic field takes place at the peak of each solar activity cycle, when the sun's internal magnetic dynamo reorients itself. When the field reversal happens, the magnetic field weakens, then dies down to zero before emerging again with a reverse polarity. While this is not a catastrophic event, there will be events. They will use this to create man-made catastrophic events on the physical world stage. The reversal will have effects, said solar physicist Todd Hoeksema, the director of Stanford University's Wilcox Solar Observatory, who monitors the sun's polar magnetic field. So change will have ripple effects throughout the solar system. And so this is really important that and this ties in with the Bible prophecy. So some Christian communities propose that the Lord is using celestial bodies like comets as signs, and because I'm going to talk about Comet ISON right now, signs to the world in these last days that the imminent rapture, pending judgment, Jesus Christ's physical return to earth are fast approaching at the end of the present age of Pisces. This, in fact, is not true, but a script that is being forced on the unassuming masses. But either way, let's see how things unfold in the months ahead. And the reason I bring this up is because as soon as this pole shift happens in the next 3 months, which is from August the 5th, this was announced, so 3 months from then is November the 5th, or within that time frame, Comet ISON is expected to be earthbound November 28th, 2013, which is the first day of the Feast of Hanukkah. Now, this is very important. What the Comet ISON most noticeably correlates in terms of Jewish feast is Hanukkah is Hanukkah. The date corresponds to when Comet ISON reaches perihelion to the sun, or closest approach before being slingshot out of our solar system. Now, I don't believe anything about this comet. I think it's another false flag, but it's a harbinger or a message that there is a war coming, World War III. That's all that I see from this Comet ISON. I don't think we're going to see anything, and I have an article here that scientists are saying that they can't really see it, and all this obscure information is coming out. And they're basically saying, will Comet ISON become a legendary comet of the century? It might, but it might not. Comet ISON will come within 800,000 miles of the sun's surface on November 28th. That's over 100 times closer to the sun than the Earth. This close pass to the sun might cause Comet ISON to break to pieces. They're saying 4 pieces. When I said 4 pieces, I just knew that's in reference to earth, air, fire, water, the 4 elements. This close pass to the sun might cause Comet ISON to break to pieces, and if that happens, the comet might fizzle, or ISON might emerge from perihelion bright enough to see easily with the eye. With a long comet tail that stretches across a quarter of the sky, comets are notoriously unpredictable. Still, this comet is one you'll want to watch. Again, just a storyline. Comet ISON was found by 2 astronomers from where? South America, of all places. The pole shift, Comet ISON. Comet ISON is really ISON equals Zion, Z-I-O-N, which equals ion, which is a form of an atom. Just a play on words here, really, but everything points back to the atom symbol that we see on the Israeli flag, which I show. So everything is pointing back to the Star of David on this Israeli flag. And so we are living through the Bible script. This is one of the major scripts that's happening. Although they're distracting us with all other kinds of strips. I don't see this as a real event happening with this Comet ISON, but it correlating with the pole shift. We're going to see some earth changes on the physical world stage, but there's going to be man-made. Because that's what needs to happen. And this is all leading to World War III in a few years. But more closely, it's a reference to an annual ritual around the Feast of Hanukkah. And as the dates of the feast and Comet ISON are the same, just connecting the dots, there could be a connection with the comet and the upcoming pole shift. But there is most likely some sort of connection to some false flag events to occur in the immediate near future on the physical world stage. So let's see and wait. It's all we can do is watch and wait and see what happens. This will be posted in the description, this article on my blog. I thank you so much for tuning in. I will be explaining more regarding the script, the Book of Revelations, the planetary alignments, and the celestial occultations, along with these dates that keep coming up and the patterns related to these dates in the weeks and months and years ahead. And more importantly, again, this is a shift. This is an opportunity for a shift in consciousness. This is an opportunity for you to come to know the truth of who you are. Move out of this third density realm into an alternate realm of your own choosing. Still having the experience in 3D, but the energies are so profound right now, and the opportunity for you to shift your consciousness and move out of the program of third density and move into the higher realms and be able to access your higher capabilities, the higher mind, which I talked about in my last audio, be able to access the higher mind. You can shift the reality. You can shift the perspective. You can come to know the unique awareness that you are and create a world, a utopia of your own choosing. Create from your paradise state. That's the opportunity now. This stuff that I share with you is just stuff. And I see that a lot of people are interested in this, or not a few people are interested. I think more and more people will be able to become more interested as they become more disenchanted by what they're experiencing, what they're seeing on the physical world stage, and will want to detach from the external reality. Because the more of us that can detach from all of that's happening on the physical world stage and not buy into the program that's being scripted and how we're being manipulated, then that program will cease to exist. The more people, imagine if the whole world stopped at this moment, was able to see that we are being manipulated, deceived through a script that a few are playing out. We could literally transform the events that are unfolding on this physical world stage in an instant. Imagine that. So that's the opportunity. But we can only do it on an individual basis. And so the opportunity that I really encourage you to embark on is the opportunity to know yourself as unique awareness, to become detached from 3D perspective, no longer being at the whim of this system, and create a utopia, create a reality of your own choosing, regardless of what's going on around you. Because for those who are still caught in 3D, is going to get pretty intense. We're going to see some really wild stuff if you're not already experiencing that. And it doesn't have to be your reality. You can choose a different reality. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.